when people are going after their goals, when people are going after their dreams, when people are trying to chase something, there's always going to be that select group of people that don't want to see them succeed, that's going to give them every reason to stop doing what they're doing, that's going to leave hate comments all the time under their posts and leave negative comments underneath every single one of their posts. What would your advice be for someone who may not have the mental toughness to go through that or respond to that, and it might actually be hurting them as opposed to helping them?
A lot of the times you got to like sit back and then really think about like, hey, what's good and what's bad in my life, you know? And once you make that, you know, distinction, find out, I mean, you can't always do it right away because sometimes it's, you know, that person's your parents, you know, that person's your boss and a really good friend and maybe the only friend that you have. So it might not be something you can do right away, but maybe start, you know, working on your plan, start doing stuff because a lot of that belief is because you don't have any example or anything to prove. But for example, if I was going to be a social media influencer and I can show my mom, hey, I just hit 1,000,000 views, like I'm blowing up, I got 30,000, you know, followers or fans, like now you have some sort of example that they can be like, okay, I see what you're doing. Sometimes when you ask those people and they show that negativity is because you don't show the results. Once you show the results, a lot more people are going to start believing in you.
Yeah, a lot of people they will jump on the. I'm not gonna say bandwagon. I was gonna say bandwagon, but like jump on the wave as soon as they start seeing success. So my take on this is if you're online and you're posting videos or you're posting pictures or you're on YouTube or whatever the case may be, and you're getting all these negative comments, people forget that it's the internet and you can just delete the comment. And just if that works best for you, just delete the comment. You know what I mean? A lot of people it's the internet. You know what I mean? Like you can just theoretically log off, and then it's gone, and don't worry about it. But if it's like in person, like for me, whenever I had a lot of people not like me in high school, and the biggest thing for me is just like in my head I just think like, yo, fuck you, like I'm just gonna do it anyways just to piss you off even more. But that's like my personality. That's how it works for me, you know. So I don't have like a such like a sit there like guru type answer to say. I just say if it's online, delete the fucking comment.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it. And if it's in person, just think fuck you into their head, then prove them wrong.
Yeah, well, that's a solid enough, I mean, response anyways. You don't even have to be realistically a guru. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people struggle with that right now.
Well, hate is also, it could be a good thing. I mean, you look at YouTube's algorithm, they're pushing dislikes more than likes right now, and it's just engagement. So if someone leaves a bad comment, just know that they took the time to leave that comment on your page. You know, they took a minute out of their day to say something negative. That person is just on a negative roll. Like, they have nothing good to say to this world. So take that dislike and that hate as, like, kind of a chip on your shoulder, you know. Just brush it off and keep going because that, in the long run, is actually going to help you out.
And then at the end of the, sorry if I cut you off, but, and then at the end of the day too, like think about it like this as well. If they're leaving hate comments and they're watching and they're hating on every single post you make, they're thinking about you more than they probably think about anything else throughout the day.
Yeah, you're waiting for that next post to write.
You're on their mind and they can't stop thinking about you because they always just want to go and comment a negative post or make a post about you that's negative, and it's just like, yo, like I'm living my life.
Holy shit.
You know what I mean?
Yo, that's a big red.
What are some things that you guys think of someone starting their business, you know, trying to get that like ball moving? What do you think are like the initial first steps in starting the business?
So I actually wanted to finish my point first when it came to the hate comments.
Yeah, go for it.
So what I'm gonna say is this: a lot of times you're gonna do things and you're gonna get hate from it. I mean, regardless of what you try and do, if you try to do good for people, if you try to be successful, people are always going to find a problem with that. I like to say people like to find a problem with every solution as opposed to vice versa. My best advice would be this. I mean, you get a hate comment from somebody, you get some criticism from somebody. A lot of people are quick to anger. You know, you tell somebody that you don't like the way they talk. You tell somebody that you don't like the way they dress or you don't like the way they address things. And they take it and they get really hurt by it. And it gets to the point where it ruins their whole day. It ruins their whole mood. And the next thing you know, they don't want to do anything because of the fact that someone told them that they didn't like how they sounded, that they didn't like how they looked. And it comes down to this. I mean, if you're going to let somebody's opinion of you negatively affect you, you should really take a self-evaluation and understand, okay, why am I letting someone dictate my mood, ultimately dictating my life? Because if they dictate your day, especially early on in the day, the entirety of your day is going to be wasted, because throughout the entire day you're going to have that annoying thought in your mind of, fuck, somebody said something I didn't like, somebody says something negative about me. And I relate it to being on the road driving and somebody cutting you off and ruining your whole day because now you're annoyed of the person that just cut you off and almost crashed into you. It happens all the time and you can't get those people off your mind. I would say the best thing to do is accept hate, accept criticism, accept everything. And when you know you can learn from critique, take it. When you know it's just pure hatred and envy, just ignore it. What I like to do is whenever someone comments something hateful on our post, you guys know I like the comment because I don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to show you I acknowledge you, but it does nothing for me. I'm not going to respond to you. I'm going to like your comment because I'm like, okay, perfect. One more comment means one more view. One more hater means I'm just getting to another level in my life where I'm proud to be at.
And not everyone's going to agree with what you say, too. There's always going to be people disagreeing. So as long as you have the majority agreeing with you, the ones disliking you and doing all that stuff, I mean, it's life, you know. That shit happens. So keep rolling with the punches, keep moving forward, and you can't let haters basically depict your business choices.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna answer your question now. If you're a startup entrepreneur and you're looking to get started in your business, my number one best advice for you would be this: find who's an expert in your field, find who's an expert in your industry, and learn from them, model them, study them. Because guess what? If I studied Elon Musk, let's say I wanted to create what Elon Musk created, which is huge, right? Let's say I wanted to create that. If I followed in his footsteps and did everything he did, I would not receive the same success in terms of financials. However, I would get very damn close because of the fact that success leaves clues. Success leaves footprints for you to follow in. And then if it's up to you whether or not you want to learn from them. Don't be too stubborn and think that you know it all just because you've seen some success lately. The last 2.5 years have been the easiest for business owners to make money. Right now, with the way this market is going, when the market crashes, things of that nature, it's really going to bring out what you truly have. It's really going to expose a lot of these fake entrepreneurs. Have you noticed that a lot of these Forex guys, a lot of these binary option guys that are like, oh, let's make Wi-Fi money, trade with me, you notice they went quiet all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, it's silent. That kind of from what you said before when you were talking about criticism and dealing with hate comments and what you just said now, it kind of ties everything together, because when you start off as a business, you may be quick to think everyone is hating on you, but sometimes you have to like double look at what people are saying to you and try to dissect to see, hey, is this actual constructive criticism that I can improve on, or are they just mindlessly hating? Like, for example, we were scrolling through Reddit, and there's this one guy I watch on YouTube, Derek, more plates, more dates, and then there was a Reddit post, and some dude was like, oh, they're talking about our brawn, looking at our formula, was like, hey, this formula would be insane, like crazy good, if you just cut down the caffeine a little so people can double scoop. And then me and Edison over here actually implemented that into our new formula, and now it just took that as crazy feedback. That's like, wow, we didn't even think about that. That is insane. And now we messaged the guy, and we're gonna go and give him a free bottle for him to try out, and just for him just giving us that constructive feedback that can implement us to the next level.
And it was one minor feedback that we got that made a big difference. I was afraid Darren was going to go into the actual formula now, but I'm glad he didn't. But we have something coming soon, and it is going to be out of this world. This gentleman that reached out to us, I think his name is Dylan. So I want to, shout out Dylan for that. We appreciate your feedback, and it just goes to show, don't be too stubborn. Don't have an airhead and think that because you've started it and because you've done something, you know it all. Because you know a few things does not mean you know everything. And the failure a lot of people make, and the mistake a lot of people make, is they think they know everything because they've had a little bit of success, right? So take everything, don't take things too serious. And then again, this is also going to tie back to starting up a business. When you start up a business, understand who's out to help you and who's out to hurt you. A lot of people are going to talk about, oh, I tried to start a business and it failed because of this, that, and the third. If that's the case, don't listen to them. Unless it's someone that's like, listen, I started a business and I failed for this reason. Don't be like me. Try doing this instead of that because when I did that, I failed. Learn from other people's mistakes is learning from other people's mistakes is different from people trying to stop you because they've made mistakes.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it I feel like it all starts from scratch, right? Like the very first thing you should like look for is what type of problem are you solving in your customer's life? Then the second, is there a market for your product that, you know, you're trying to run in the marketplace, right? So is there going to be customers willing to buy that stuff? Are those problems in that marketplace, or is it in another city, or is it in another state? So once you get all that stuff, then you have a plan. You have your business plan, and you start up your, you know, LLC. You open up a business account, and then you find a way to fund your equipment or whatever you need in order to get that business started. And then that's when I feel like you look for your coach. You look for a mentor that's been in the field that, you know, you want to get into, and he's been doing it for 10, 20 years successfully. Learn under his wing, work for free for him if that's what it takes to learn from him. And then from there, just keep working on it, and you're going to get that hate. You're going to get those failures, those lessons, those people that are going to tell you, hey, you know, you can't do it, and you just got to keep moving. You know, it's a 5-10 year thing starting a business. You don't see profits for a really long time, so a lot of it's just staying consistent, knowing your vision, knowing what you have to do, and just attacking it every single day.
Yeah, speaking of another thing too that I think is quite important that you guys left out. Yeah, you attack, but you have to kind of put yourself in another like in another perspective. Like you got to find your Goliath. So like you're David, and you got to find your Goliath, someone that you're gonna look at and you're gonna want to attack and take over and bring them down. And it got to be a big fish. You can't just be like, if you're starting up a little mom and pop pizza shop or something, and you don't want to like pick the other mom and pop pizza shop. You're gonna look over there at like, I don't know, Pizza Hut, Flippers, Papa John's, and be like, yo, I'm gonna take down these monsters. This is my Goliath. I'm gonna beat them. And you always have that motivation of trying to beat this top dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I was watching a podcast the other day. It was actually, I think it was a Full Send podcast, and they were talking about how Happy Dads compete with Budweiser. Everyone thought they competed with White Claws and all that, but they were saying because Budweiser, a lot of people wear their shirts, and it's more of a lifestyle. You don't see a lot of people wearing White Claw shirts, so that's what they were trying to target. That's their Goliath. That's like who they're trying to beat or become, and it's good to have that target in mind so you know exactly where to shoot your gun.
So that's a very interesting point too. Where I would say is this: having a big Goliath, having a Goliath in place and letting that be another big brand, only gives you a lot of room for growth. Don't let their success, don't let the other company's revenue and cash flow deter you, because it's not going to be very long until you end up in a similar position if you're obsessing over competing with this giant. I find that the most successful people are the ones that are obsessed, the ones that wake up, think about their business. Throughout the entire day, they can't get it out their mind. And then at the end of the day, before they go to sleep, they still think about their business. They still dream and fantasize about not only the end goal, but the journey to get there. And the bigger the obstacle, the closer you are to your dream, the closer you are to your goal. So the bigger the Goliath, there's going to be so many obstacles you have to overcome along the way. But damn, that shit is going to be so worth it at the end when you get to reflect and be like, imagine I didn't do this. Imagine I didn't go all in. Imagine I stood fearful and I let this Goliath defeat me. What's a more triumphant story? A Goliath beating a David, or a David beating a Goliath?
David beating Goliath.
Yeah, what you just said, it reminded me of a couple of things. There's this meme that you guys probably saw. It's been out for years, and it's the meme of the little miner, right? And it's one dude is mining, and the diamonds are right there.
Yep.
And then it's the other dude, he quits and walks away, and the diamonds are right there. So, like, when you were saying, like, oh, your biggest obstacle, right before you feel like quitting, right there, before you feel like it's getting the toughest, the diamonds are right there. So keep on digging, you know what I mean? It just made me, I don't know why, I just got a picture of that meme in there.
Yeah. It's weird how life works. It really rewards the people that work the hardest. It's kind of like how we were talking about the other day. The law of attraction, right? So you start putting this stuff into, fruition every single day, thinking about it, every single day waking up and working at it. Life is going to reward you. Like I said before, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're bound to get a haircut. So it's just sticking with it, sticking around, making sure you meet people in the community in that field, and you're gonna grow because they're gonna give you advice that's gonna propel your business more. They're gonna teach you, hey, I went this route and this, was a waste of money, so now I know mental checklist. Hey, I'm not gonna go that route anymore.
That's right. And it's all about having the right group of people, the right circle, the right friendships, business partners, relationships.
Oh yeah, it
And these wasps are trying to get a feature on this
Special
podcast.
guest.
So
But-
listen though, I'm gonna go off on this.
okay.
Because I know last time we spoke about relationships, I had some people question, how can I create a healthy relationship? How can I create a lasting relationship? I know my partner is not a narcissist, and although they're not a narcissist, we have a lot of conflict. We have a lot of back and forth. So a lot of people misinterpret what a relationship should be like. A lot of people think this: the more similar we are, the better the relationship will be, right? So here's what I say: similarities, having things in common, that's what creates the relationship, right? Having things in common, it's what creates that spark. However, it's not sustainable. Having things opposite from each other, difference, is what creates passion. But overall, a lot of people mistaken this, and I've said it before, where they think you need to have similar energies to have a lasting relationship, which is incorrect. You want to have similar values. When you guys have similar values, the relationship is more passionate. When you guys have similar values, you guys both know what your end goal is. You guys both work towards it. If you guys have similar energy, you both could love to have fun, but say you love to have fun, but you also love to work on your business. You also love to build something, build an empire, grow. But your significant other is only committed to having fun. Do you truly and genuinely think that that's going to create a lasting relationship? Of course not. So you want to have things that are, differentiating from one another, but similar values. And most importantly, too, stop making things about yourself. When you're in a relationship and there's conflict, stop worrying about how you feel. Stop worrying about how it's impacted you, and worry about your significant other. Think about how your word choices affected your significant other. Think about how your significant other might feel because of a certain thing you said or because of a certain situation that occurred. Usually, people miss that mark when it comes to communication. A lot of people, they try and communicate by telling people what hurt them, by telling people how they feel, as opposed to worrying about how the other person feels. And that lack of care for one another is what ultimately breaks a bond.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't really talk too much about relationships. I wasn't in too many of them, but one thing I do know is communication's the biggest thing. It's key in everything: business partners, family, relationships, and knowing what each and each other's goals are and what direction they want to take their lives. You kind of try to find a median with that. I feel like everyone has their own path, right? And once you find like, hey, I know you're going this way, I know I'm going this way, but where are we going to find time to, hang out, make the relationship better, find love again and do all that stuff. And it takes that time and the communication to figure those things out.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I don't really have much to say, because you guys are hitting all the points, and then I'll just be reiterating everything you say the same thing. So it's like, I kind of don't know what to say. You guys stole everything. Should have given me a second,
Yeah, no, I get it. But, from my trial and error when it comes to relationships, trial and error is one of the most expensive ways to fail. It's one of the most expensive ways to learn. You have school, yeah, you have other scenarios that you can learn things from, but trial and error is very expensive. And a lot of times, trial and error is very cost effective. But what I'm going to say is this: if you are in a relationship and you're very committed to making lasting growth, find out exactly what your triggers are, but most importantly, find out exactly what it is that's causing a drift, causing a divide. A lot of times it's lack of intimacy. If there's lack of intimacy, figure out what's going on in the relationship that's causing that. A lot of relationships, they lose their spark. And the reason they lose their spark is because, think about it, the beginning of the relationship is always the best part of the relationship. So what you want to almost do is this: from the beginning of the relationship till the very moment that you are right now, keep that momentum going. Keep that energy the same as it was in the beginning, and there will never be an end. That's it. And whenever there's a problem at hand, communicate with each other and express how you feel, of course, but worry about how each other, how your significant other feels. Stop putting yourself first in these situations and put your significant other first. It's going to carry you a long way. And then on top of that too, when you communicate, don't point fingers at each other. Acknowledge your wrongdoings and acknowledge your faults and whatever problems occur, and figure out a way to fix it. Figure out a solution so it won't reoccur.
Yeah.
I think when I'm gonna talk about it, it's similar subject but different at the same time because I've witnessed this a lot of times with my friends and people that I know, family members. Is sometimes people are stuck in a relationship they don't want to be in, and that's because they might be afraid because they might genuinely love this person and care about them, but they're not. They feel like they don't want to be in a relationship anymore. You know what I mean? So I had a lot of friends deal with that, and they're stuck in these relationships feeling miserable. The biggest thing is one of the things you guys were talking about is like communication. You just talk to the person instead of going out there. Like a lot of people that cheat, they cheat on this person because they don't want to break up with them because they don't want to get them sad because they care and they love about this person, but they just don't want to no longer be in that relationship. It's just go up there, go to the person, tell them, hey, like I still love you and care, but like I don't have this connection with you anymore. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And just tell them, because in the end, yeah, it'll hurt in the moment. It'll hurt both of you maybe, or maybe just the other person. Who knows? And just tell them. You know what I mean? Because that will solve a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted years, and a lot of wasted arguments.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, rip the Band-Aid while you can. You know, the longer you wait, the worse it is. You definitely want to, you know, especially if it's bringing down your energy. You know, you're with someone that you don't really want to be with. It's kind of energy draining in a way. So if you keep holding on to it and not let them know, hey, you know, it's over, it's gonna just be bad for you in the long run. The other person's probably not even gonna realize until like later, like moments before it happens, is when they start realizing, oh shoot, you know, he's acting different, you know, he's not hitting me up as much anymore. So if you're gonna already be doing that stuff, might as well just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, and I mean, segmenting off of what you said before we wrap this up here is, as you mentioned, it's a lot of people, they're afraid of being lonely because they feel like there's an issue with being alone. So a lot of people, what they do is they mistaken having love for somebody with being in love with somebody. And you can't mistaken the two because it becomes a very fatal mistake. Here's the reason why. A lot of times when it comes to, intimacy, a lot of men, they would end up staying in a relationship because it's easier access to intercourse, right? And if you notice one thing, it's easier for a man to accept intercourse with a woman than it is for a woman to accept intercourse with men. The reason being is in regards to the fact that men only need to know two things: when and where. Women want to understand who you are, what can you bring for me, what can you do for me, and what am I going to gain out of this? What are you going to, where is this going to segment all to from here? Because when the intercourse does occur, for women, they feel more of an emotional connection. They feel more of an attachment to that person they just literally gave themselves up to, whereas men don't feel that same thing because we're wired differently. Our biochemistry is different. So that's why women end up more depressed and more hurt when they are out of a relationship or whenever they realize somebody only used them for intercourse. So if you take a second to reflect and you find that you're truly not in love with the person that you're claiming to be in love with, please not only do yourself the favor, but do that significant other the favor of letting them know and at least giving them the freedom they need to actually find true love. Because you cannot sit there and genuinely say that you are their true love if you genuinely don't feel love for them.
I got a hot take that's going to piss a lot of people off. I don't think it's bound by men or women from what you described. I think it's bound on how you're raised, your personality, and whether you like to party or not.
Values.
So, yeah, and I think women can be the same way like what you described men to be, when and where. And I think men can be like that. And I think sometimes men can be wanting more of an intimate relationship rather than just a quick fix.
Right. Yeah. It's the majority.
It's how you're raised.
Unfortunately, the majority falls on men, and there are going to be marginal cases where they will fall on women. And, there are going to be women out there that are only looking for that. And I've seen it because, I don't know if you noticed, a lot of women are praising it now.
Yeah, it's
A lot of-
everywhere.
It's a culture change now.
Nowadays, women are praising the feeling of being crazy. They're over, I don't know if you notice a
Hot
lot
girl
of
summer.
women. They're always posting. They're like, "Oh, I'm the crazy type. If you can't handle me, then you can't be with me. Not everybody can handle me. So that's why I'm never in relationships." And it's not something to brag about. All you're doing is letting people know how toxic you are, so it could keep more people away from you. And then on top of that, too, and this is also going to piss a lot of people off because it's going to come after this whole culture that's going on, and I might get affected by cancel culture.
Yeah.
But a lot of men nowadays are too feminine.
Oh wait,
Women
into
do, and I'm sorry, but and this is in regards to a heterosexual relationship, if you're with a woman, right, and you are a man, do you really genuinely believe a woman wants to be with another feminine man? No, because guess what happens when women are angry? They become masculine. How can a woman become masculine out of anger and, have a conversation with a man who's feminine? It would never work out. But nowadays, men are taught to be more and more feminine. Testosterone's at an all-time low. Oh, shit, I used the T word. But testosterone's at an all-time low. Look at the way the diets are nowadays. A lot of people are accepting too many things that are hurting them. And it's getting way too out of hand. And I mean, I don't care what your preferences are, but at the end of the day, these basic laws and principles apply to every single relationship. There's always got to be two different sides of people, and whether it's a heterosexual or homosexual relationship, there's always going to be that feminine dominant person and more of a masculine person. No matter what your gender is, no matter what your traits are, there's always going to be that difference, and that difference is what benefits the relationship.
yeah,
Yeah.
the masculine one needs to get like, to be that ideal masculine. I'm gonna say father figure, that father figure, because every single, if you look into any, like most times, if there's a guy and he's out there and he's a troublemaker, 9 times out of 10 he doesn't have a father in the household. If you look at 9 times out of 10 the women out there that are crazy and they're going around having crazy times, just like just crazy toxic females, 9 times out of 10, no father figure, daddy issues. So you need, whether you're in a homosexual relationship
Daddy
and you have a feminine and a masculine, you need that strong masculine vibe. Because if you think about everything, and it goes back into our tribal days, right? If the world was to go downhill, most, like, I 100% believe we'll all go back to our roots. The men will be out there doing the hard work, the hard labor, the hunting, while the women will stay behind and take care of, the children. So that's like what kids need, right? So kids need a loving mother that's there to support them emotionally, and a father should be there to teach them, one, their values, two, how to treat other people, and three, their own worth. So a lot of times, a majority of the time when I was going through school, a lot of the girls out there that went around bounced off to guy, the hoes, you know what I mean? This is gonna be a really hot take. They had daddy issues, and the reason why I believe they were like this is because they always sought validation from a man, because they never had that in their life. And then if you look at the girls that carried themselves well, they had the strong values. That's because their father was there to teach them their worth. So you need a father there to show them their worth. I'm like, hey, you're not going to go around bouncing every guy because you're worth more than that. You know what I mean? And they need the loving of the mother, because honestly, if a boy doesn't have the love of their mother, they're going to turn out to be a hoe as well, because they're going to seek validation in any women and try to get comfort in women.
And they won't have as much respect as they would if they truly, had a mother figure and, someone that they can actually respect as a mother in their life. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a mama's boy. If anything, the more respect, the what I would say is this: the representation of the respect you have for women solely falls on the respect you have for your own mother, and that's exactly. If you don't have respect for your mother, the likeliness of you having respect for a woman in your life is very slim to none. And Darren, I just saw that.
Yeah. You're going to have to blur that out or something. You saw my face, I was like, oh, shit.
And parents are kind of like life teachers. I feel they tell you what's right and what's wrong. They might not educate you well on like what business endeavors or what career you want to do, but they're gonna teach you, hey, this person's not good for you. This is a bad friend. They're gonna teach you those like little lessons that are gonna carry you on in life.
I agree and disagree at the same time. Reason I say that is because I do agree that you can learn a lot from your parents' struggles and a lot from your parents'
100.
failures.
Yeah.
But then again, you are going to have those toxic parents that are not actually going to be looking out for your best interest, but in their mind, they believe they are.
Mm.
But in reality, they're just trying. So, parents' job is to keep you away from pain,
Yeah.
keep you away from suffering. But a lot of times when parents do that, they end up becoming toxic because they have such a hard grip on you that they refuse to let you actually venture out and do your own thing and experience your own things.
Yeah, it's
in
kind of
life.
like if you look at birds, right? When the little baby bird, the mother's there feeding it, taking care of it. But when it's their time to fly, the mom's not there holding the little baby. They kick them out of the nest and just like, go fly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
just-
And they learn to fly. You know what I mean? So you have to be there and care and support, but you're not there holding their hand and telling them, hey, you're walking straight. Let them go their own path. And you're, as a parent, you got to be there to support them. You know what I mean? When they go on their own path, don't be afraid to let your kids fail. But you also, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, parents
Yeah.
should be there to guide you. I feel like a lot of parents try to implement their own thoughts and vision on you, and if you don't carry that vision for them, that's where a lot of things go south with the relationship with your family. So if you are parenting, highly recommend just guiding them. You know, let them form like their goals, their purpose, their own vision, and once they've formulated that, you can help guide and make sure they're doing it the right way and not the wrong way.
I agree, and you know, it's like you mentioned with the bird thing. It's even in the, you know, and when you can kind of reference like like animal world and stuff.
Mhm.
You look
And
at a
primal
lion.
instinct.
Look at
Liver
the lion. Okay, Liver King. You look at like let's look at a lion for example. When a cub is born, what does the mother do? The mother would, of course, take good care of them. If you notice, the mothers are always the most overprotective ones. They're the ones that truly watch over their cubs. Whereas with the father usually will only come around whenever another, masculine lion comes into play, trying to kill the cubs to become basically the powerful force.
Yeah, they're
So
there to protect the women and the
fa-
children.
Exactly. So the father would come out at that point and go to war, even if it means costing his own life. And when these cubs end up growing up to a point where they can start to actually fight for themselves and, find their own food source and things of that nature, they are left alone at that point. They are no longer under the care of their own mother. Their mother says, "Okay, I've shown you everything I needed you to learn. Now it's your turn to go into the wild and implement that and create a survival mechanism for yourself. Find a survival blueprint." And a lot of people don't have that survival blueprint. A lot of people are too caught up under the notion that no matter what happens to them, they're going to be okay. No matter what happens to them, they're going to have mom and dad there the whole time to hold their hand and walk them through life. But the failure and the mistake a lot of people make is this: when you solely rely on somebody else's assistance, you become dependent as opposed to being self-dependent.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy because I love the analogy you use
Independent.
because it goes back to a lot of what Darren said, where it's a lot of this stuff is history. This is nature, you know, like lions. Lioness kills the animal, brings it back, then the lion eats with the family and the whole pack. The lion doesn't do the hunting. He doesn't do all that stuff. What he does is protect when another lion comes in, and that's like everything in not religion, but in relationships. I was gonna say religion, but no, in relationships, it's the same way. You need that masculine, figure, and then that feminine figure as well to help support that household and make sure everything's going fluent and right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because opposites attract. I mean,
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. And so some great topics again. We try to come up with some different topics as well, so we don't bore you with the same thing. Even though, a lot of you would think it's common sense. As I say all the time, common sense is not common practice. So we might repeat ourselves every now and then, but it's only out of the best interest of y'all. But what I will say is, if you gain anything from it, if you learned something that you didn't know before, or if it at least woke you up and gave you a new understanding, like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, family, or anybody that will benefit from this type of information.
yeah. The more you guys help us grow, the more people we can reach out. So it does mean a lot if you guys like, subscribe, and leave comments. Also, if you guys give us feedback of anything you guys want to hear us talk about, that would help us out a lot as well.
Yeah, and I gotta say to I agree with everything. Repeat. But if you do disagree with anything we said and you find yourself getting mad or about what we say, it's not because we like hate anyone that disagrees with us. That's a good thing. It's good that you disagree because that's how you can develop yourself, learn more, and then having this discourse without instantly going to cancel or I want to end you or you know what I mean, like things like that, escalation. There's things that you disagree with everyone. So if you disagree and you're still watching, I love you.
We
Thank
all
you.
love you.